Today is April the 26th, Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you guys are doing very well. So David Pecker concluded the very lengthy testimony in Donald Trump's hush money trial. Donald Trump's trial actually adjourns until Tuesday next week. Of course, I'm going to be giving you guys some live updates on that. Rona Graff, Donald Trump's gatekeeper, takes the stand, which is a banker at First Republic Bank, testifying about a frantic call from Donald Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen. Letitia James delivers some threatening warning. Basically, she delivered this very threatening warning, effectively the pro-Palestinian protesters and drawing a red line. And yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that today in today's video, guys, but take a listen here.
Donald Trump is now suing Attorney General Letitia James. The former president has filed suit in Florida saying James is violating his right to privacy and property. A second count says she's also interfering with his trust.
Judge Engoron's decision was excessive and obviously beyond what was allowed under the law. And, you know, the case might fully be reversed because if you remember the details, the facts are pretty straightforward. The loans that were subject to these alleged frauds were paid back in full with interest. The bank said they'd do more loans in the future with President Trump, and, you know, they didn't believe that they were defrauded. Now, you know, whether or not any bar complaints have been filed against Judge Engoron or Letitia James, you know, ultimately that's going to be a separate proceeding. But, you know, based on how this case turns out, and especially if courts reverse the entire case, you know, that would suggest that the judge and maybe the prosecutor went beyond their bounds and could be subject to some sort of sanctions for sure.
All right, guys. Yeah, we got a lot to get into today, guys. If you guys could do your boy a favor, hit the like button for the video. I always appreciate you guys showing me love. And I always want to thank you guys so much for sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter. You guys are phenomenal. We've got Dayla Cook in here. We got Bob. We got Catalia, Patrick Hartman. What's going on, everyone? Keenan Ripon, Tammy Ferguson. What is going on? Happy Friday, everybody. All right. So Letitia James delivers a fairly threatening warning to pro-Palestinian protesters by drawing a red line. Yeah. So Columbia University and some other colleges across the United States have found themselves caught up in this whole domestic debate over the war between the Israel and Palestinian militia group Hamas. Now, the students have led protests against Israel's offensive in the Gaza Strip, which occurred right after the Hamas attack back on October 7, 2023. So New York Attorney General Letitia James gave a red line for pro-Palestinian protesters at a Columbia University, as well as other college campuses. So James jumped in on the protest Monday this week, Monday night, in a post on X, the social media platform that we all know as Twitter, essentially warning protesters against engaging in acts of anti-Semitic violence. She said, quote, everyone has a right to peacefully protest, but acts of anti-Semitic violence crosses a line. We know the dire consequences of failing to stand in the face of hate, end quote. So that was coming from Letitia James. But yeah, so Donald Trump, he's taking the hits, but he's also hitting back.
AG James is just continuing what is a harassment campaign.
The Donald Trump show is over.
It's unbelievable. This weaponized, charges is just absolutely ridiculous.
New York Attorney General Letitia James, as you just mentioned, asking the judge in Trump's civil fraud case to void the $175 million bond payment that he already posted. She claims that she's questioning whether Knight Specialty Insurance Company has the funds to back it up. He puts the bond. First, they tried to get him to put up $475 million in bond. Then a judge cuts it to $175 million. He gets the money. He pays the bond, and now she's trying to get the judge to void it out. I mean, you can't write this.
Donald Trump is now suing.
This is unbelievable here, guys. So former President Donald Trump, he may actually get the presidential immunity after the Supreme Court hears his claim. So this is bound to be a massive win for Donald Trump, for him, and for actually for subsequent presidents as well. So this is a monumental decision that the Supreme Court is on the verge of making, guys. This is history in the making. So basically, this is bound to be a huge win. I'm gonna just go ahead and call it out right now, especially if he's ever granted this immunity for official acts as a president. Now, a lot of people are questioning if this kind of power would lead to future presidents to monopolize the White House, as they can basically stay in power and say that any of their actions are an official act. Yeah, people can always abuse pretty much anything, but you got to draw the line somewhere. But others are actually saying that there should be no intent to do that, as such would be viewed as like a very personal and political act. But one wouldn't, that wouldn't be under the scope of the presidential immunity. If that ever came to fruition, that would be under a different pretense. But now, if a president cannot put forth official acts without immunity, then this also opens up the possibility of political retribution. And this is exactly what Donald Trump was talking about just the other day once he got out of the court. The idea is that when a president ends his term, he can then be charged with many different crimes. So this is why that immunity protection needs to be put in place. And there's no secret that the commander in chief has a lot of power in his hands, right? I mean, this is the kind of power that could start or even end wars. And, if one was not immune from future prosecution, then no president would ever take any kind of like aggressive sweeping action, such as targeting terrorist organizations or fear of involving innocent civilians. We probably get maybe another Joe Biden in office, where he pretty much sits there and doesn't really make any major decisions. But much like what Donald Trump's attorney said in his opening statement in the Supreme Court, this has to be in place here. I really feel like we almost don't have any other choice but to actually have this in place.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, without presidential immunity from criminal prosecution, there can be no presidency as we know it.
This is Donald Trump's lawyer speaking right now at the Supreme Court.
For 234 years of American history, no president was ever prosecuted for his official acts. The framers of our Constitution viewed an energetic executive as essential to securing liberty. If a president can be charged, put on trial, and imprisoned for his most controversial decisions as soon as he leaves office, that looming threat will distort the president's decision-making precisely when bold and fearless action is most needed. Every current president will face de facto blackmail and extortion by his political rivals while he is still in office.
He's clearly losing his voice.
The implications of the court's decision here extend far beyond the facts of this case. Could President George W. Bush have been sent to prison for obstructing an official proceeding or allegedly lying to Congress to induce war in Iraq? Could President Obama be charged with murder for killing U.S. citizens abroad by drone strike? Could President Biden someday be charged with unlawfully inducing immigrants to enter the country illegally for his border policies? The answer to all these questions is no. Prosecuting the president for his official acts is an innovation with no foothold in history or tradition and incompatible with our constitutional structure.
He brings up a lot of good points. Can you imagine, Joe Biden being prosecuted, arrested, thrown in jail for his border policies, allowing and almost inviting illegal immigrants and illegal aliens to come into the United States? I mean, that would be, and how many counts of that? What do we have, like 10 to 14 million illegal aliens that have come into the country? So would that mean somebody like Attorney General Letitia James coming after President Joe Biden with 14 million counts of illegal immigration activities? You know what I'm saying? Donald Trump's lawyer brings up some strong points here to the Supreme Court. I also want to just give a quick, huge shout out and thank you to Lars Mitch for the huge $20 super chat. So Lars says, Great mud flood of the 1800s. History is wrong. Anyway, thank you so much for the huge super chat, and God bless you. Happy Friday. So let's hear the rest of Donald Trump's attorney's testimony before the Supreme Court here.
Original meaning of the executive vesting clause, the framers' understanding and intent, an unbroken historical tradition spanning 200 years, and policy considerations rooted in the separation of powers all counsel against it.
Wow.
I welcome the court's questions.
Wow. All right. Well, very strong arguments, and not surprisingly so. Donald Trump's legal team is pretty good. Now, it does make sense to many legal analysts. Many people criticize President Joe Biden for his open border policies, the southern border. We've seen, this crazy crisis take place along the southern border, Texas, southern California, Nevada, Arizona. And we had this massive 700,000 participant trucker convoy that took place. I think it was like the Freedom Convoy. Some people called it like God's Army or something like that took place earlier this year. Shortly after the New York City trucker strike. A lot of folks were literally trying to take matters into their own hands because, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas can't do everything all by himself, right? So anyway, so many people are criticizing President Joe Biden for his open border policies. And this is something that a lot of Americans have literally said have changed our country for the worse. And folks are saying that they feel like the only person that could fix this is Donald Trump. And if you guys happen to believe or think that Donald Trump is the only person that could fix this, just go ahead and type in Trump 2024 in the comments down below. Now, you can actually check with the sanctuary cities that continue to have this rampant crime and violence escalating on a daily basis in broad daylight, guys. I mean, meanwhile, illegal aliens are provided with food, shelter, clothing. It's like an invitation. Hey, just come on over. We got all this free stuff for you guys, all on the dime of the American taxpayer. And if President Joe Biden is not charged with the crimes against his own country for letting in these people, then does it mean that he is being granted presidential immunity? Because if Donald Trump, here's the thing. If Donald Trump is not granted presidential immunity, then that would mean that Joe Biden should be charged with all sorts of crimes against his own country if the Supreme Court ends up deciding not to provide Donald Trump with immunity. I hope that makes sense. If that makes sense, just type in, it makes sense, Ron, or something like that. Anyway, so it seems as if the argument from some folks is that Donald Trump was acting on a very personal issue. Now, one that actually involved the 2020 presidential elections. And so you got Associate Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. A lot of you guys remember her. She's saying that they can't treat this as an official act. They just can't. Donald Trump was merely trying to hold on to office, meaning that him questioning the results of the election was not an official act. However, some experts believe that Donald Trump was doing the right thing. The idea is that he wants to maintain the integrity of the presidential election. And that was really it, right? Now, remember, Fulton County, Georgia, Fannie Willis's trial, Nathan Wade's trial. Okay, so shortly after Fulton County, Fannie Willis's trial had begun and was underway, Fulton County counted 147,000 mail-in ballots that were not signature verified. How many of you guys remember that? So a Fulton County Elections Board member voted against the certification of the 2020 presidential elections because they had more voters than their entire population. This is clearly election interference. And so this puts into question if the votes were even legitimate. Well, I can tell you right now, if you have more votes than there are voters, there's mathematically no way they could be legitimate, okay? Or at least not all of them. Which now brings me to former Representative Liz Cheney. So Liz Cheney, she's in this big, huge hurry to get this immunity case out of the way. Now, according to her, if the Supreme Court does not resolve this issue quickly and decisively, then it will have a negative, profoundly negative impact on our country. Now, critics of Cheney is effectively saying that She's merely just trying to get Donald Trump before the 2024 presidential elections. That's her goal. However, saying this might not help make Donald Trump's immunity case go any faster. As a matter of fact, it might actually do the exact opposite of what she wants, because these judges don't necessarily appreciate being rushed. It's kind of like, when you hit the horn trying to get somebody to hurry up and pull out of the parking space, right? You're waiting on their parking spot. If you hit the horn, they're probably going to take even longer because they don't want to feel like you're rushing them, right? And this is kind of what we've seen from these judges. If you try to push them along, they'll probably end up dragging their feet. So this could backfire on Cheney. And it's not like we're deciding on what movie to watch here, guys. Their decisions could literally have a huge lasting impact on our justice system going forward, and it could possibly change the landscape of politics as we know it altogether. And it's very similar how special counsel Jack Smith wanted his case to go even faster. He even set a date for the judge, right? So Judge Eileen Cannon criticized Jack Smith and said that him demanding this hurried decision was unprecedented and it was unjust. Basically, Judge Eileen Cannon, she's like, look, Jack Smith, you're not going to rush me. Sit your little butt down, right? And so Cheney on her end is saying that a delay could very well prevent Donald Trump's case from being tried this year. And she also fears that the American people would probably never hear critical and historic evidence developed before the grand jury, because she thinks that Donald Trump will probably take the 2024 presidential elections and all these problems will end up going away. But she also went on to add that our justice system will probably miss holding Trump responsible for January 6th. Now, do you guys think that Donald Trump is responsible for the January 6th riots at the Capitol? If you do, type yes. If you don't, type no in the comments right now, because she wants this presented to an open court as quickly as possible, because she feels as if the public would understand their urgency. Now, emphasizing, and a lot of you guys are typing in no in the comments, right? A lot of you guys believe that Donald Trump is not responsible for the Capitol riots. In fact, if you guys remember, Donald Trump actually requested, what was it like? And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Didn't Donald Trump request like 10,000 National Guard troops? And then you had, I think her name is Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C. And she was like, nah, we're good. We got like 300 security guards or something like that. and so it's like, look, he tried to prevent the problem, but the mayor of the city overrode the president and said, no, we don't need your 10,000 National Guard troops to, make sure things don't get out of hand. We're good with our little, local law enforcement. Crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. And of course, they want to act like, they don't remember that. Thanks to Tucker Carlson, a lot of the January 6th Capitol riot truth actually was exposed after, God knows how many months they sat on the tapes, on the videotape data showing what actually happened. And it was very, very different than what the mass media was trying to present to us. How many of you guys remember that? If you guys remember that, just say you remember that in the comments. Gail Sawyer, thank you so much for the $2 super chat this morning or this evening. Appreciate you very much. God bless you. Gail Sawyer says, keep up the good work. I appreciate you. I will do my best. I'm probably about due for some coffee. Any other big coffee drinkers in here? I know I'm a big coffee drinker. Anyway, so this is pretty much emphasizing that the American people would be left to assess what the former president did back then, and what kind of man is capable of that kind of like depravity, and what they could do if they were provided with that power of presidency again. Rad Data 4 loves his coffee. Patrick Hartman. Man, y'all some coffee drinkers. All right. So with all these coffee drinkers, what is the best coffee creamer flavor out there? Now, mine is hazelnuts. So what's your favorite flavor? Just give me some ideas, because we're about to go grocery shopping tomorrow, and maybe we'll pick up something different than what we normally get. So anyway, so Liz Cheney also hinted at them giving testimony about the former president's conduct, and she deems that it's historic. In fact, one that would remain a secret until Smith presents his case at trial. However, the reality here is that the Supreme Court cannot rush something of this magnitude. So it's pretty obvious that the court is interested in what the future holds depending upon their ruling. So you got Justice Brett Kavanaugh. He is actually another Trump appointee in the Supreme Court. He said that this case has huge implications for the presidency, for the future of the presidency, and for the future of our country. And so this is probably, them alluding to the fact that this is probably going to push Donald Trump's election interference case probably months and months and months into 2024. And this is something that would actually help Donald Trump's legal team, because it looks as if the goal for them at this point is to at least prolong these hearings until maybe after the 2024 presidential elections. Since if we look at the history of Donald Trump's legal battles, he hasn't really been getting a fair shake with all these basically Democratic judges. Like, you guys are seeing what's happening, right? Like, it's like almost so many folks are saying, like, all of these judges are, getting paid off by Soros to take Donald Trump down. And I actually saw a comment earlier in here saying how, what's up with all these sisters taking down Donald Trump? It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting take that you shared on that one earlier. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did. Fannie Willis, Letitia James, and there's this other lady who came up, Tiffany Henyard, who didn't take down Donald Trump, but she's got some issues going on up in Illinois. She's the mayor of Illinois. Then you got crazy old Lori Lightfoot. I think she's the mayor of Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, lot of interesting stuff going on. Everything has a pattern. Susie Q. Clem says Dalton. Mayor of Dalton. Thank you. You're right. Tiffany Henyard. So anyway, Donald Trump's legal battles have also helped the former president. So in a recent campaign stop, in fact, it was actually this morning. Was it this morning? Dang, I'm getting my days mixed up. It was either this morning or yesterday. You guys correct me in the comments. Donald Trump met up with some union workers, and they were chanting USA, USA in the crowd. It was in Manhattan. Lou Valentino was there. He got his hat signed. Anyway, so this is a sign, guys. This is a sign of how much support Donald Trump's actually getting in New York. And it actually shows how much support Donald Trump's getting from the unions. And there's not a lot of folks that are actually, Donald Trump's not getting the media attention, or at least, we know why they're not doing it, but the media will not admit that Donald Trump actually has a significant amount of support from unions. Appreciate you, Katalia. So that was yesterday. Okay. All right. So yeah. So this is, this is as Donald Trump continues to just try to cram these campaign actions within his schedule. Because remember, the judge right now over the hush money trial, Judge Juan Merchan, he doesn't want Donald Trump to attend the Supreme Court hearing, the ruling. He wants to keep Donald. And so basically he's saying that his trial is more important than the Supreme Court's decision. That's basically what he's saying. I feel like there's a certain level of arrogancy there. Arrogancy? How about arrogance? I don't think arrogancy is a word. Anyway, bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Juan Merchan doesn't want him to attend his son's high school graduation. It's only going to be one of them. How many times can you graduate from high school, right? So these are once in a lifetime opportunities for him to experience some critical moments in his kids' lives. And the judge is trying to just like block him like a hater. And that's really, really not cool, especially for a case that really has no urgency. DA Alvin Bragg waited 8+ years to bring this, this case that's barely the strength of a toothpick to court. And now all of a sudden, Judge Juan Merchan wants to act like this is so urgent that Donald Trump can't miss a single day in his courtroom or else he's going to throw him in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, Thank you, Delray Manis, for the massive $9.99 super chat. Appreciate the support, my friend. God bless you. So, again, Donald Trump is doing his best to try to cram in the campaign efforts because he can't campaign if he's in court all day. Meanwhile, Joe Biden continues to take it full advantage of the fact that he's leveraged the justice system to pin his political rival down by preventing him from campaigning to his full capabilities because he's in court. So you got Joe Biden hitting the campaign trail with no restrictions. You got Trump tied up in timeout thanks to, Joe Biden's, I call them minions, which is probably it's a disrespect to the amazing cartoon that my son and my wife love so much, those little yellow guys. Anyway, they shouldn't be disrespected like that. So anyway, but yeah, guys, so this was like proof that Donald Trump actually does get love from some of the members of the Teamsters Union. But there were also chants of we want Trump coming from the crowd, and you could hear it. There was so much footage there. You couldn't hide it. I saw ABC News there. That was the only actual news station that I remember seeing there, but they were all there. A lot of people were actually meeting with former President Donald Trump for the first time. I mean, dude was actually very, very social with a lot of those folks there. And again, always look at from a safety perspective, those Secret Service guys, I mean, they had to be stressed out. Hundreds of people, thousands of people, if you count people in the buildings looking down, because it's Manhattan, right? So Manhattan's always got tons of buildings, and you never know what anybody might be thinking. So, all my best goes to all the Secret Service people who coordinate the effort and make sure that Donald Trump remains safe during these outings, because safety is paramount. So, Donald Trump then he made a bold claim while he was on site in Manhattan. Donald Trump said that he basically claimed that the lifelong Democrats in New York, get this, guys, Trump said that the lifelong Democrats in New York would vote for him this November. How many of you guys think that will be possible? How many of you guys think that it's possible for Democrats to be won over, for Trump to win over the Democrats in November and actually get Democrats to vote for him? If you think that Trump can do that, I don't know, just type in Democrats in the comments down below, because this is the claim that Donald Trump is making. And it's funny because a lot of the folks that are showing up at these rallies, and they're not really rallies, they're really like pocket, we'll call it a pocket rally, right? Because they're just little side stands that he sets up every now and then. Hey, I got 30 minutes. I just got out of court. The judge's going to let me out for lunch break. Let me do a little brief campaigning here. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because this is exactly what I was talking about, guys. How Donald Trump raised a tremendous amount of money. Joe Biden has raised a total amount that's greater than Donald Trump. But here's the thing. Trump is just a smarter businessman than Joe Biden. What business has Biden run except for this undercover, underhanded business that he and Hunter Biden are involved in that they completely deny, right? Like, what real business has Biden run? Biden is not a businessman. Donald Trump has been able to garner millions of eyeballs just from these little meetings in between, his court hearings. So it's like Trump's dollar can be stretched way further than Biden's, just because, he knows how to use smart business tactics, social media to get reach. In order for Biden to get out, he'd probably have to spend millions of dollars easily to achieve what Donald Trump did for free yesterday morning, last Thursday, when he was at the bodega in Harlem. So, this is like, so in other words, instead of needing, 3 times more money than Donald Trump has raised, Donald Trump's probably good. He probably won't even need all the money he's raised so far. And he can probably roll that over to something else meaningful. Nana's Crochet Corner, thank you so much, love. Thank you for the $3 super chat. Nana's Crochet Corner says, caramel macchiato creamer. Tell how you like it. Okay, I'll give that a shot. Caramel macchiato creamer. Let me write that down so I don't forget, because we're going shopping tomorrow and I will probably forget. Okay, thank you so much. Told you I was gonna write it down. All right, because I don't want to forget. Anyway, so, but again, this is probably because Donald Trump's been treated just awfully by his political rival, Donald Trump or Joe Biden. So, yeah, so this is also, if we believe what Donald Trump is saying about all of this being the work of the current administration. I can't prove that all of this is because of Joe Biden, but it certainly does point that way. Guadalupe Rubino, don't forget your popcorn. I'm not gonna forget my popcorn. I won't, I promise. Extra butter. But anyway, what do you guys think? I know we covered a lot today. I want to hear from you guys. We got Keenan Ripon in here. Donald Trump has all the help he needs with all these stupid DAs and judges, darn crooks. I feel you, man. I feel you. Wouldn't that be something if this BS gives Trump New York City? You know what? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't this be the biggest backfire ever? Catalia says also peppermint mocha creamer. And in October, oh my God, they come out with the pumpkin. Yes, the pumpkin spice. And of course, in October, they come out with the pumpkin spice candles, which smell amazing in the house. Man, I know we're just in spring and we're already thinking about like getting close to the holiday season. But anyway, yeah, some of those are just absolutely amazing. But yeah, Ride Data 4. So Ride Data 4 says stick with hazelnut. Oh, don't worry, I'm definitely gonna keep the hazelnut, but I gotta try the caramel macchiato. So I like a little variety every now and then. But anyway, if you guys haven't already, definitely hit the like button for the video. I totally appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter. And if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you are notified as soon as we go live. I want y'all all to be present. All right, guys, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Be safe.